Welcome to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, sponsored by Bayou, yes, and powered by JM&E. The Takeover, of course, is also available via the BS3 network on Roku. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me again, thankfully, bless her heart for doing all this for me, is Miss Kenitra Pulliams. KP, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Chris. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do what we do, people. As you watch the show, thank you for your support and watching these editions of the Takeover on the new platform. And give us your comments as you watch this throughout the show. The show is, of course, streaming live on Roku and YouTube at Houston Roundball Review. But reminder, y'all know it if you're new to this, this is new for you. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If you don't, but you can fix that by going to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. And reminder, I'm so happy that she does this. Bayou Beat is a sponsor of the Takeover. Bayou Beat, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. Bless her for doing it. And I'm going to broadcast that throughout the show. Remind everyone of the support of Bayou Beat because, it's Bayou Beat. Go to BayouBeatNews.com. You know it right there, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. KP, we talked about this last week, about the portal, about why doesn't the NCAA just simply do the right thing and use some common sense and change the date of the portal? Well, we have someone else who decided to speak out and go public with it. SMU head football coach Rhett Lashlee. He said it Monday of this week. Here's some quotes from him. He suggested the December portal window should be eliminated, decrying that players have to make decisions about whether to transfer or play in the college football playoff. Quote from him: "I feel so awful for our kids and kids around the country. There's no other sport at all that has free agency in the season. It's sad. It's terrible. You hear the story about their backup quarterback, talking about Penn State, saying, I don't have a choice. That's wrong. That's unacceptable. That's not okay. He shouldn't have to make that decision." Right there. Your thoughts on those words, and we'll get more from him in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely on target because it's the backup quarterback at Penn State. He went to James Franklin and said, I have no intention of leaving. I want to be a part of this program. I want to see this thing through the playoffs. But the timing of it all, you have signing day on a Wednesday. You have the end of the regular season on a Saturday. Signing day is the following Wednesday. The transfer portal opens the following Monday. Meanwhile, there are bowl game preps going on. So you're putting these coaches and these coaching staffs at a disadvantage. You're also forcing the hands of these players who, now they're looking like, oh, you're so selfish. Oh, you're bailing out on your team. No, he has to do what's in his best interest because there are only a certain number of spots that are available, and coaches aren't going to wait to see, because every day, just because the portal window opens, it doesn't close the same day. It just opens. So there are players adding their names and making their decisions on their next school. Houston got a new quarterback in the midst of it all. So is Wegman a bad guy for abandoning Texas A&M? They have a bowl game still to play. So I mean, the time in a span of 10 days, there's too much chaos in college football. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree with Coach Lashlee and Sark and, James Franklin and, all these coaches who were just because at the same time, you have schools who don't qualify for the CFP, don't qualify for a bowl game. So really all they have to focus on is their high school recruits and signing day, as well as the portal. But then you have these other, so now the teams that are successful, they're getting penalized essentially. Because they're having to multitask. Oh wait, we have bowl game preps, and oh by the way, and these student athletes also have finals to take, in the midst of all this going on. So like, yeah, the December calendar is stupid.
It's stupid. And let's get back to it. I think he said something along those lines. The December portal window opened December 9th and closes December 28th.
Yeah.
All players whose teams made it to the CFP have a 5-day window to enter. Starting the day after their season ends. Quote from Coach Lashlee. The real easy thing is you don't have a transfer portal in December.
Exactly.
Yes. Duh. That's the real easy answer, and it solves all the problems. Amen. Why in the world would we put kids in a position where they've got to decide, do I transfer or play in the playoff? Do I transfer or play my bowl game? Your point here, scholastically, it doesn't make sense either because your years end in May, not in December, end quote. This makes too much sense to change it, to not have a portal in December.
Common sense ain't common.
True, especially when it comes to college football, semi-pro football, or whatever. What was the rationale initially, if you remember, for the portal opening in December in the first place?
I honestly, I don't remember.
Because I choose, I don't know, that's dangerous. I choose to believe that coaches, elite level coaches, the power program coaches would have thought this through and said, we can't do this now because of X, Y, and Z. You're penalizing us if we're in the playoff. You're penalizing, on it. So I don't understand how this even came about in the first place. I hope this is the last time we're discussing it and that it's fixed before next year, for next season, because this just
right. I mean, and right. And then now with the expanded playoff, so like it's nonsensical.
It is, and I want to salute Coach Lashlee. As you touched on, other coaches have made similar comments, and hopefully this is the end of this. I mean, I just don't understand it. You have this after the championship game. Okay? You have your portal window open up. Everybody has the same, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Pick common ground and say, okay, this is going to be our
level the playing field.
Yes. And you go from there. And hey, I know, as you mentioned, my alma mater, the Cougs, got a quarterback from the portal, Mr. Wegman. I butchered his name, I think, on the last show, but I hinted at him as a possibility of transferring to the Cougs, and he did. I almost want to say hours after our show aired.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. Yeah. But I mean, but the crazy thing is, I mean, it's great. You see his social media statement, and I'm coming home. Cypress kid. But hypothetically, say he had stayed, with A&M as they go through their bowl game preps, and then the closer they get to their game out in Vegas, then all of a sudden, he doesn't enter the portal immediately. Say he waits a little bit, then all of a sudden he becomes a distraction, to the Aggies, because he's taking attention away from the team and putting it on him by entering his name. And
just avoid all that. Just get rid of the portal, move the portal, not get rid of it, but just move it until after bowl season.
Yeah. Simple. Finish bowl season, and open up the portal as you lead into the February signing day.
Yes.
Because I mean, if that's the case, why you have a portal in December, and then you have the spring portal, and then you have early signing period, and then you have, literally 6 weeks later, another signing period. So it's just
you got kids who have entered.
What's wrong with remember back in the day when there was just one signing period in February?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm that old to remember that. Yes, and it wasn't that long ago.
I do too.
And it's supposed to be for the student assets. It's for the kids. Once you enter the portal, you'll still be able to make your visits, travel to whatever school, your list of three to five, and I'm assuming those schools will pay for your trips, just like your recruit in high school, do all those things, your officials visits. Don't make this complicated. This should not be that difficult. We should not have players. It's enough that players opt out of bowl games for the NFL draft.
Sure.
Okay. I'm good with that. Those guys believe they want to prepare for the NFL draft. Some of them stop going to class anyway. So, why pretend anymore? I'm getting ready for the NFL draft. Cool. But if you're not draft eligible, your team's in a bowl, you decide, well, yeah, y'all are in a bowl, but I want out. I want to transfer. And then my buddy wants to transfer. 10 teammates want to transfer. And then you got to do, well, we don't have enough players to compete in the bowl game.
Marshall,
thank you, La Tech, for stepping up. That you eliminate those kind of factors. Just get rid of this. Move the portal back to after a bowl season, after the championship game, to make it level for everyone. One team that was ineligible. Well, did not qualify. Eliminated from bowl eligibility early, very early in the season, much to their disappointment of their fans and alums. Florida State, Mike Norvell. Oh, one more thing here. Here we go. I love how this was announced. Agreed to restructure his contract that includes a $4.5 million contribution to help launch the Vision of Excellence initiative, which in part at raising money for revenue sharing and facilities. But of course, starting July 1st, each Division I school will be allowed to share at least $20.5 million in revenue with their athletes under a house settlement agreement that has not been signed off on yet, but everyone expects it to. But I like the terminology. I'll get to it in a second. Norvell is set to make $9.9 million next season. Come off of what was it, 2-10? Was it 2-10? Florida State 2-10? As part of a contract that includes incremental raises every year through 2031. He will have a chance to earn the money back. His revised contract includes an annual performance bonus that would pay him $750,000 beginning in 2026 if the Seminoles win at least 9 games. So if it's a big if FSU wins 9 games every year between 2026 and 2031, Norvell would earn back the $4.5 million.
And raise your hand if you think Mike Norvell will still be Florida State's head coach in 2031.
I think he might be done next season.
Exactly.
But
was he encouraged?
Strongly urged
to contribute to the Vision of Excellence?
Yes. And I didn't include a quote because he knows all fluff from him. He did kind of own up to, we have standards here in Florida State, and I understand.
Performed below our standards.
Yes.
I will do everything in my power to make it right. This is unacceptable. Nobody hates losing more than I do.
Right. All the catchphrases and everything, like cliches. Yeah. But USA Today termed it as like the loser tax, the loser penalty that coaches like Mike Norvell are giving back, and more. The I'm a man coach. Because Norvell is not the first coach to agree to a restructured deal with revenue sharing on the horizon. Earlier this month, Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy, I'm a man, also restructured his contract. Sources told
hours after it was announced that he was fired.
Yes, go figure. That Gundy's $7.75 million annual salary will be reduced to be redistributed as part of revenue sharing with players. Next, LSU's Brian Kelly announced a campaign to match fans' donation to the Tigers NIL collective up to $1 million. Kelly failed to make the CFP.
This is like a 401k program.
Yeah. In his first 3 seasons at LSU, while ranking among the nation's top paid coaches. NCAA rules prohibit coaches from making direct NIL donations, but Kelly will use a workaround by funneling his donation through the Tiger Athletic Foundation, a booster group that financially supports LSU athletics.
And when have boosters ever not gotten in trouble? I mean, booster, that's like a cuss word.
Friends of the program.
Friends of the program, yeah.
Friends of the program. And NIL, of course, now it's legal. Salute to former commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, Michael Resco, for really coining that, what the NIL means. Now it's legal. He said that. And it's true. You got to work around, as Kenitra mentioned. I'm kind of curious. I mean, honestly, and I have been and will continue to be one of those people. I am not a person that says to any coach who's getting that bag, 4 million, 5 million, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million a season. Universities paying it, the boosters paying it, whatever. Get it. And if Bayou beat, Nakia, you're watching this, you come into some money, you want to sponsor me and give me $1 million and give KP $1 million. Hey, come on, dude, bring it. We'll be happy to do it. But for FSU's coach, any of these coaches, I mean, y'all have enough money. You could do this. It could be, he won't be the first, won't be the last. These won't be the last few coaches to give back money to their schools for revenue sharing. Workarounds, how you want to term it, whatever, because it's needed.
Pay for play?
Because it's needed. Because $20.5 million up to $22 million, I think the first year is $20.5 million for the revenue sharing, has to come from somewhere. And that's the question I want to get into. Where's it going to come from? That is it. Where's it going to come from? You got boosters who've given.
That's just year one.
Yes, because it will increase incrementally for the next 9 years after that. So I'm curious, schools like my alma mater, who don't have a lot of billionaire boosters like SMU, for example. We got one or two. We got Tillman. I know there's someone else out there who just chooses to stay behind the scenes and be quiet way more than Tillman. Tillman's out front in public. I guess I can say that for a little while longer until he becomes the ambassador of whatever thing that is. But anyway, talking about sources of revenue, Kelvin Sampson, part of his Zoom call on Tuesday, part of the preview of the Cougs home game versus Toledo, he had some things to get off his chest, Kenitra. The initial question was asked to him, Coach, about non-conference scheduling and the amount of days off between games during this non-conference schedule, and that he chose to schedule that way. Coach Sampson made a point to say, that really wasn't by my design. It was because of the 20-game Big 12 conference schedule. Here are his comments, and it's a lot that he has on his chest. But part of what he mentions is also donor fatigue. Check it out.
There's probably not a sport that has evolved like men's basketball over the last 5 years. We've all had this this tornado or cyclone thrown at us with the portal and NIL and recruiting, and when the portal window opens, when it closes, and it's amazing to me how everybody goes crazy when you get a portal kid, or you don't get a portal kid. It's just added another layer of excitement for the fans, and that's good. But being able to change around it, for the life of me, I don't know why we can't, in the last 2 minutes of the game, move the ball to half court. For the life of me, I can't understand why that is a rule. Because we've always done it like that, it's not a reason to continue to do it. If we can let kids transfer anytime they want, as many times as they want, then why in the hell can't we move the ball up to half court in the last 2 minutes? Just like adding the shot clock, you'd have thought I remember how many years ago that was. We'll shut the game down. Game's going to change. Well, you have to. We have to continue to evolve everything, including how many games we play. Why did we settle on 31? Why can't we play 40? Why can't we play 35? Why can't all the schools in the state of Texas have a jamboree in August or September and scrimmage each other a half? Take Texas San Antonio, Rice, Texas Southern, Baylor, Tech, whoever, and have an opportunity to do that in every state. We've got to think outside the box with where we are as a sport and try to figure out how to catch up. Can you imagine the NIL money we could raise in the summer if Texas, Houston, Baylor, and Tech did a 1-day or 2-day made for NIL event where we play each other in the scrimmage? But the rules don't allow us to do that. But because of NIL, we better start thinking outside the box, because donor fatigue is real. Finding dollars that aren't there is real. So how do we find these dollars? Well, get creative. Figure out what we can do in the summers. Think about the NBA Summer League. I coached in that thing for 6 summers. It's one of the greatest out-of-season events the NBA's ever had. What do we have out of season? Why can't we have something out of season? If for no other reason to raise money. People would pay to see that. And I'd rather do that and raise the money through that approach than having to ask people over and over to please donate. I'd rather have the flexibility to go raise the money ourselves in an event that will raise money. And you're able to develop your young kids more. Winning and losing doesn't matter to me in those deals. It doesn't matter. Play all your guys. Give your fans a chance to see our new freshmen that are coming in.
Yep.
I bet you we would pack whatever gym we held it in, and we should have it in the gym that has the most seats. You don't want to have it at Baylor or at Houston because we only have 7,000, 7,300, whatever it is. You would want to at an arena that has the most seats where we have the best chance to raise money. But I think, I sit around all the time. Kelly and I are always bouncing ideas off each other. We got to get off this 20-game schedule. We got to get off this 31. We're only going to play 31 games because that's the rule. Well, then change the rule. You put in the portal. You changed. You allowed us to pay players. Why can't we move the ball up to half court? That seems kind of benign, but it helps the game. It makes it more exciting. We have a window here because of all the whirlwind dynamic changes that has been made to look at other ways that we can change and help our game. At the same time, help our athletic departments and help our budgets and be in a position to continue on with this NIL path that we're on that will help everybody. Now, some states, like when I was at Washington State, it's a little more difficult. But you have Gonzaga, which is 82 miles away. You've got Kansas, Wyoming, not Kansas, but Idaho, states that have very few Division I schools. That might be a challenge. But why not do it with NAIA schools? Why not do it with Division II schools? So I think there's ways to do it, but I think we have a moment in time right now where, with the powers that be, to go to them and say, look, we didn't ask for this portal. The NIL was thrown at us. We've all accepted it. We've all objectively have supported it 100% and understand the need for it. But given the current rules that we have, we don't have enough opportunities to fund our our player budgets the way they need to be funded. So how can we do that? Bring August into play. Go from 31 to 35. If not 35, then 31 to 34. Then incrementally push it up. Think about when the NCAA tournament was 24, 32, 48, 64. Now they're talking about adding 76. We're in a season of change. We're at a time in the history of our game where change has affected so much that we need to continue to evolve. So I hate to get on my soapbox about that, but that's my 2 cents.
I mean, I had no problem with anything he said.
No,
none whatsoever.
Why do the women play 4 quarters and men play 2 halves?
Still, I think men's college basketball is the only level of men's basketball, I think, in the world now that doesn't play quarters. Am I right on that? I think that's right.
Internationally, I'm not sure, but I'm just why? Because when they go to the NBA, they're playing 4 quarters. Why are the men playing 2 halves?
So, college athletics is backwards, is slow to change, is averse to change. And some of the reasoning behind it, I love what Coach Sampson said, well, then change the rule. Yeah, just change the rule.
Even reviewing plays, games moving along, but then you get an official's review. What is it? Last 2 minutes. Yes. So the last 2 minutes of the game takes 20 minutes because you're reviewing every. Was it a 2? Was it a 3? Was it block charge? Who touched it last? Who got? It drags it down.
Yeah, that takes way too long. What happened to it? Because a few years ago they used to have a clock on the review. Remember that? What happened to that?
Can we do it like NFL where or even college volleyball? You have 2 challenges. You challenge, you lose a challenge, or whatever. If you are successful in your challenge, you keep it. Come on.
That's in the NBA now. Finally, coach wins his challenge. You get to keep it. It should not be this difficult. Common sense, as you said, and as I love to say, common sense ain't always common.
Right.
So,
but that's the thing, and then so you're looking at generating, and granted, yeah, Texas, there are more Division I teams, so the teams that are more remote or aren't as populous, you may have to get more strategic with who you scrimmage, but there has to be a way to generate. You look at what is it, the TBT? Yes. You get the tournament and that's generating money, and you have these little controlled scrimmages. You get 2 exhibitions, and you have this controlled scrimmage environment. Usually it's for charity.
Yeah,
before they were SEC partners, you Texas A&M, playing each other for charity.
Yeah, that evolved because years ago you play like a semi-pro team as part of the exhibition schedule.
Oh my God, absolutely. An exempt tournament. You'd go to Puerto Rico. You'd go to the Caribbean. You go to Greece. You go to Italy. So then you get the cultural aspect. Your players could go and travel and see some historical monuments and play some basketball against professionals. Mm-hmm. And then, and it was also a way, because of NIL, for your international students to be able to make, because under NIL, they can't make money.
Right. Correct.
You'd have to play in an exempt tournament in order for them, to make money.
Yeah.
It happened most recently, Johnny Furphy with KU. Part of the reason why he went pro after 1 year was his body ready for the NBA? Absolutely not.
Right.
But he didn't get paid last year.
Right. Cougar big man Cedric Lott, no NIL, but they went to their overseas trip to Italy or whatever. Yeah. He had NIL opportunities. They designed some specifically for him so he could get some NIL money.
But, Zach Edey. Any from Canada? Yeah. You know, like.
Mm-hmm. You know, and the charity game that the Cougs and Aggies played this year, the secret scrimmages, those evolved. The not so secret scrimmage, the closed scrimmages, that more and more teams somehow magically post clips on social media or Instagram, and then sometimes they even post the box scores from those secret scrimmages. Ooh.
Or they make it into a travel package for their boosters.
Mm-hmm. That as well. But the fear was like 3 or 4 years ago, when the NCAA had supposed power, I had, the team SIDs tell me, Chris, we can't post anything about the scrimmage. We don't want to get in trouble from the NCAA, or can't even send Chris, I'll send the box score, but don't post it. You can't post it because we don't want. That's all gone now because the NCAA power, no one cares anymore. NCAA is like, whatever, y'all go what you want to do. You do you. We're not. It's all of that. But the fundraising part of the fundraising idea, as Coach Sampson says, because the revenue sharing, granted, the athletic departments have the option to opt into revenue sharing. Some won't. Bless those that don't. But if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. I mean, let's be real about that. But many will opt in and then find the money from somewhere. Because honestly, I wonder where my school is going to find the money to pay this $20.5 million minimum to their student assets every year going forward. Because I don't have it. Okay, my friends don't have it. And we're alums. So Tillman Fertitta, he's got a lot of money. But how many Tillmans are out there for UH? But again, it was, as Coach Sampson touched on it, donor fatigue is real. We talked about it last week's show. That boosters not every booster has a bottomless pit of money.
Right.
That can continue giving and giving and giving. And they can say, I already gave this for this. I gave toward the building. I gave toward the building fund. I gave toward basketball. I gave toward football. I gave toward women's sports. Now you want me to give to NIL too? Damn, I don't have it anymore. That is real. But another aspect of money, and I think I have it queued up, will be this. This was announced, and before I get to it, because it is about the Players Era women's basketball event that will take place next Thanksgiving in Vegas, 2025. Kenitra. I haven't seen it anywhere on the Players Era website. No mention of it yet. No email, because I was part of the email list, the mailing list, this inaugural year because the Cougs men's team was in it.
Right.
Got all kinds of stuff about that. But I've seen quotes, and I can go ahead and pull it up now, from the participating coaches, women's basketball. I've seen Dawn Staley comment, Vic Schaefer comment, Carol Lawson comment from Duke, Troy Close comment from UCLA. All the coaches have commented. I've seen their comments. And I think all four of them have comments on their specific websites, school websites, athletic websites. But nothing on the PlayersEra.com website, unless there is a Players Era women's basketball website, which I don't know about yet. Even though I Googled that as well. Haven't found it yet. But anyhow, Duke, South Carolina, Texas, UCLA women to play in Las Vegas tournament in 2025. And I like this is simple, first year of it, but it'll be a round robin tournament in Las Vegas next year during Thanksgiving week. The Players Era Women's Championship will allow the opportunity for assets on each team to engage in at least $1 million of NIL activities with the title group and sponsors. Must be nice. The event will coincide with the Men's Player Era Festival that debuted at MGM Grand Garden Arena last month. Oregon won the men's championship by topping Alabama 83-81. Players, this is a quote from the Players Era CEO, Seth Berger. Players Era is creating the first ever tentpole women's college basketball MTE with an unbelievably loaded field and Fascinating storylines. Ooh. Early season matchups that are sure to set the tone for the rest of the season. Our women's championship includes the same level of guaranteed NIL opportunities for the players as the men's championship. Each of the women's teams will play the other 3 teams. I like that. Your thoughts on this?
Does the South Carolina Texas game count towards the conference standings?
That's I think about that. That's a great point. Probably not. No, I would doubt it. No, I mean, heck, we're friends.
Yeah,
between you, me, and the audience. Throughout this summer, because the initial discussion of the men's players era games, you could not have the NCAA frowned on it happening because you had teams from the same conference. You had Alabama and Texas A&M in it. You had Oregon and Rutgers in it. So the NCAA said, no, you can't have it.
Right.
On for weeks, months, you can't have it. Then there was an MTE, I think, in San Diego. It was in California.
Holiday hoops, or
maybe, but it was a similar. It was an MTE. It wasn't money like the Players Era event, but it had some teams in the same conference.
Yep.
The NCAA had no problem with that event happening. They were like, "Oh yeah, okay, you're good." So the organizers for the Players Era event started to look at this. Hold up, wait a minute now. You approved this event X. They got teams from the same conference competing, and you're good with that. But you're not.
Yep.
But what about us? Why are you? Oh, yeah. So it's because we're paying money for NIL to our players. Is that it? Oh, well, we'll get back to you on that. Then they thought about it, and probably behind closed doors, damn, we're screwed here. They got us. Yeah, they're right. So the NCAA sent out a blanket waiver for MTEs and for teams from the same conference competing in MTEs this season and probably going forward in the future. Who was that referring to? I wonder. It was the Players Era Festival. And lo and behold, there's no problems anymore with teams from the same conference competing in it. I mean, there are workarounds. Initially, the plan was like you weren't going to have them in the same bracket or that kind of thing, and then they made 2 divisions and all that kind of stuff. Because at one point there was the initial plan for the inaugural MTE for the men was the top team from each bracket would meet in the championship game. But then that had the issue with what if it's Alabama and A&M from the same conference? Well, then we can't do that. Okay, so then already got to think about this. They had to change their plan, the process. And then once the NCAA gave the blanket waiver, they said, okay, well, let's go ahead and we'll keep the divisions, but let's base it on, best record in the division, pool play kind of thing. Right. And then we'll have some point differential as a factor and all that kind of stuff. And then it works out. So they made it work, long story short. But here is part of the 2025 men's field for the Players Era Festival. That's 15 teams. One more team will be in it. We know for sure. Kansas. So that's 16 teams. Arizona, Baylor, Big 12. Creighton, Big East. Gonzaga won't be in Pac-12 yet, right? That's 2026, right?
Right.
Okay. Houston, Big 12. Iowa State, Big 12. So that's 4 right there, KP. 4 Big 12. Michigan, Big 10. Notre Dame, ACC. Oregon, Big 10. Rutgers, Big 10. San Diego State. Where are they still? Mount West still? Right? Are they for them? But I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
St. Joe's A10.
St. Joe's is A10. Wow, how they got in there? Good for them. St. John's, Big East. Syracuse, ACC. And then last, Texas A&M, SEC. So plus Kansas, that's what, 5 Big 12 teams. Jeff Goodman has reported that next year's event will feature up to 20 teams in the Players Era Festival for the men. Kenitra, 20 teams. I'm assuming that's each team will get a minimum of $1 million for participating in it. That's $20 million. If it's similar to the inaugural event, the winner will receive another $1 million. So that's at least $21 million. This is what is Redbird Capital was involved with this, I think. Where is this money coming from? What? Because the games, the attendance at these games will not be great. It won't be, sellout crowds. I don't care how much the ticket prices are, because you can't raise them too much because fans won't be able to afford them. But how are you going to make your money from was it Turner, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Max? How are they making $20 million plus to pay out to the players, the teams, and then you paying for the travel
expenses?
Make it make sense to me, Kenitra.
Yeah, I mean it's a mini NCAA tournament. But it takes place in November.
20 teams, that blows me away. I mean, I think the initial plan for year 2 was at least 8 and then maybe 12, but now it's up to 20.
Yeah.
All right. My goodness. We're a little past the bottom of the hour on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, sponsored by Bayou Beat. Visit BayouBeatNews.com, BayouBeatNews.com, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. You're watching this show on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, as well as on Roku via the BS3 network. Going to play this clip to let everyone know what BS3 is all about as soon as I find it. And we'll be back in 35-ish seconds. But here's a promo, give you an idea of what BS3 is all about. Be back shortly.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the Lunch Break, sponsored by Bayou Beat and powered by JM&E. The Takeover is also available via the BS3 network. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If not, just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. And of course, Bayou Beat, bringing that Southern love to your daily news coverage. I am KG Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me is Miss Kenitra Pulliams. How are you doing, colleague?
I'm doing well.
What are your thoughts on Kansas in the Players Era Festival next year and going forward, I think?
No, I mean, as Coach Sampson said, I mean, you have the game is evolving and however it is, to generate revenue. I mean, you got to do it. I mean, today Kansas announced, a new partnership, in regards to revenue sharing and NIL and, marketing and brand development, for these student assets, as you call them. So, I mean, you have to tap every well and get some money coming in.
Indeed. And I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
You and I, a couple curveballs.
Okay.
Iowa State women's basketball once again showed the women's college basketball world they're not ready for prime time, not ready for the elite level of women's hoops. They played UConn and lost by 30. What was it 101-68? I think 33. UConn shot 10 for 11 from 3 in the first quarter. 10 for 11. That's hard to do, KP. Guarded, unguarded, 10 for 11. They made a total of 23s in the game. They shot like 50+%. Iowa State, for the game, shot like 48%. It was just that darn first quarter when they were down by like 18 at the end of the first 10 minutes, the game was over. But Iowa State, and because of that, I believe their ranking in the net is now 62. They're 9-4. They've been blown out by UConn, blown out by South Carolina. They lost to Northern Iowa, so it's bad losses all around for Iowa State, which was one of the top picks for the conference in women's hoops this season. Still have one of the best players in the game in sophomore Audie Crooks, who scored 22 in the game, the loss to UConn. Didn't have enough help. But there are the net rankings for women's basketball. K-State, the best in the conference at 4, TCU at 8, West Virginia 10. Those three teams are projected as of now, it's going to change, in ESPN's Charlie Cream's bracketology to be part of the top 16 for women's top 16, means they will host first 2 rounds of the tournament. Just 3. SEC probably has like 5 or 6 in top 16 hosting, including, surprisingly, Tennessee. You and I have touched on it, that Big 12 women's hoops is not elite compared to the Big 10, the SEC, the ACC. ESPN wrote about it, and I'll ask you. You're smart. Would it surprise you, of the Power 4 conferences, which one of the Power 4 conferences is least likely to have a representative in the women's Final Four?
That's the, do you only call it Power 4, or do you include the Big East and say Power 4.5, Power 5?
Well, if you include the Big East, that's 5.
Yeah.
But it's still not. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it wouldn't be the Big 12, would it? Would it be anybody from the Big 12? You'd pick somebody from the Big East first, Big 10, ACC ahead of SEC ahead of Big 12, wouldn't you?
Based on early showing, yeah. But again, all it takes is one injury.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. I love how, and you are correct.
And your fortunes change dramatically.
True. Like if Hannah Hidalgo goes out, Notre Dame's fortunes would change. Sure. But all that.
Look at on the men's side. Look, Janai Broom, separated his shoulder or dislocated his shoulder yesterday.
Yeah. That makes a difference. Injuries are part of the game. Correct. But I'm trying to pin you down, Kenitra. Pin you down. Everybody's healthy. Carolina's healthy. Texas is healthy. Notre Dame's healthy. UCLA's healthy. USC's healthy. UConn's healthy. On and on and on. How far do I have to go down the list before you have a team from the Big 12 in the Final Four on women's side?
I don't like projecting in December. Because it's all about matchups. You don't have, again, you go back. The women's side usually holds chalk more so than the men's side. You're going to get a George Mason going to the Final Four. You're going to get a Wichita State going to the Final Four. You're going to get Florida Atlantic going to, you know what I'm saying? So it happens more regularly on the men's side, than the women's side.
Okay. Next curveball. ESPNW had their top 100 rankings for high school seniors for the class of 2025. 98 of them have committed to a college, a D1 school. 2 have not. And one of those 2 is the best player in the class, Miss Aaliyah Chavez. But in terms of talent, in terms of top 100, the Big 12, here are the numbers. ACC has 25. Split among, what is that? It's 14 programs. 25 of the top 100 committed to an ACC school. Big 12 has 14. Big East has 6. Big East is UConn. Big East, I mean, UConn, that's the UConn conference. But Creighton has 3, surprisingly. But Big 12, and you see that? Kansas has 3, Kenitra. 3 of the top 100 going to KU. K-State has 2. So the Sunflower State is doing something right. Can't do anything. Bring that down to Houston. Because you don't see any Houston up there at all, do you, Kenitra? But I digress on that. Even Cincinnati has 2. So, but Big 12 as a conference, 14. So, again, ACC 25. Big 12, 14. Big 10, 25. SEC 27. So I say all of that. 3 of the Power 4, because I'm not counting Big East, not a Power 4, even though at one point it was what was it, like a Power 7? What was it for basketball? Kind of coined that phrase for basketball. It's a little different. But of the Power 4 of ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, 27, 25, 25, 14. So even the top talent on the women's side, girls' side, is a gap. There's a talent gap between the 3 power conferences and the Big 12. That's an issue going forward. So do you agree?
Is it an issue or is it subjective?
I think it's an issue. Why do you think it's subjective?
I mean, because it's the same way. You're putting stars by these recruits. Oh, you're a 4-star player. You're a 5-star. Says who? What does that really mean? That you're getting a lot of attention from others? I mean, like the number of offers you're getting. Like, does it mean how well you're going to fit in that program? How long you're going to be there? How long that coach is going to be there? Like, so that's why, I put no stock into how many stars they have or their rankings. Like, okay, yeah, props, if you're talented and you're highly regarded, great. But hey, you're number 27 at the point guard position. Okay. Because then also you have to take into account the portal.
Yes. For sure.
You may be all Gatorade, All-American, McDonald's, All-American, but if that program is going to get, Haley Van Lith, I think coaches would rather take an experienced, successful transfer than an all-world freshman who still has to acclimate to college life.
Yes, some would. I think that's the Coach Huey route. Is he'd rather go the portal route rather than the.
And I'm not just saying cast-offs from the portal. I'm talking about highly regarded, proven winners.
I mean, that's what TCU coach has done. He went to the portal. A lot of his players. He had a lot of his success.
Yep.
And some of the private school money, NIL money for them as well. But hopefully that'll also generate attendance because they need some at TCU. But Big 12 women's basketball overall, we touched on it a lot. Attendance is a problem. Star power for the conference, would you agree, is lacking in Big 12 women's hoops?
I mean, that's fair assessment.
Okay. So that's why I continue to beat this drum. Miss Aaliyah Chavez out there in Lubbock, Monterey. And she'll get NIL money from Texas Tech. They have, as we touched on it, they have NIL collective put together. Miss Aaliyah Chavez, please, as someone who covers the Big 12 women's basketball, please choose Texas Tech. Please, 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 please. I've had my Mars Blackman glasses and a hat and all that kind of stuff too. But please, choose Texas Tech because it would put a spotlight on Big 12 women's hoops. And I think her presence at Tech would raise the boats of the other schools in the conference because it would draw attention to other programs in the conference. Because with Texas and Oklahoma gone to the SEC, with Kim Mulkey at LSU, left Baylor. Baylor is a solid. Big 12 has a lot of solid programs, women's side, solid programs, but they're not national championship contenders. They're not on the level of South Carolina or UConn or UCLA or USC. That's what I want. And that's one thing I hammer home to other UH alums. With the right head coach at Houston, first, the administration carrying out women's basketball, because that would be a start right there, there's a void that can be filled with the Longhorns gone, with Oklahoma gone, to either bring in talented players from high school or star players from the portal that could go to Houston and rise up the ranks and be that top-tier team in the Big 12. There's an opportunity there that is missing. We'll see if it happens with whatever happens with Coach Huey going forward. But Ms. Pulliams, it's always my pleasure speaking with you. I know you don't like doing it, but we're a few days away from the first round of the CFP. I'm going to try to pin you down again. Indiana, Notre Dame, who you got?
Notre Dame.
SMU, Penn State, who you got?
Penn State.
Clemson, Texas, who you got? Well,
Texas.
And then lastly, Tennessee at Ohio State, who you got?
Tennessee.
Oh, so 3 home teams and 1 road team, picking the Volunteers. All right. Why Tennessee?
No reason. Yeah. Just because.
Just because. All right, that's fair. Okay. I'll ask you this again. Have you chosen a social media platform yet?
Nope.
Nope. No rush.
No rush at all.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you again, Miss Kenitra Pulliams, for your insight, your time. I always enjoy talking to you. I know the audience enjoys it. The Queen, Miss Wanda, she enjoys the two of us talking on the show. She enjoys the chemistry that we have. So thank you again. And if I don't see you, because I'm going to text you, if I don't see you before the 25th, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, season greetings of the season, all those great things to you.
And same to you, Chris.
All right. And everybody, hope you enjoyed the show. My mug here, get you a mug, click on that shop button, support the Houston Roundball Review, advertise on the show like Bayou Beat, like Miss Nakia Cooper, BayouBeatNews.com. Going forward, 2025 is almost here. Support the Roundball Review. Click on those Google ads you see on the blog post, on the website, et cetera, et cetera. And always keep this in mind. Subscribe to the channel, but keep this in mind. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective.